Lordaeron, one of the greatest kingdoms to ever exist in WoW, in my humble opinion. The lore, the majesty, the story behind it all, the grandeur. Lordaeron came and went, and we've only known it in the game as a pile of ruins for the undead, where they lived in the Undercity. Well, it looks like a Lordaeron secret zone is coming in Midnight. Map changes and all. Is Blizzard gonna bring Lordaeron back to its true glory? I keep saying it. I mean, look, with all the advancements of the undead and their storyline, they should come out from the Undercity. They should rebuild Lordaeron and make it cross-faction so I can actually go see it as an Alliance character. We'll see if it happens, but let's see what Doran, the Teller of a Thousand Truths, has to say about Lordaeron and its comeback in Midnight.
Something really interesting happened in the beta. The actual shape of the Eastern Kingdoms was changed, and a patch of the Plaguelands was just updated and added into the new area of Qual'Thalas. This is the area bordering Stratholme and the Plaguelands that looked exactly like the Plaguelands, but it just became a new subzone of the Eversong Woods in Midnight called the Talassian Range. So far, not much is happening here, but seeing that they purposefully added this as a new subzone, is it a possible setup for future content? Could we maybe see Notron, the Forgotten Dwarven Kingdom, maybe a Titan facility beneath this area, or could this be a setup for future Lordaeron, Plaguelands,
that's right.
Stratholme?
Northuron, there is a Dwarven Kingdom that was out there too. I think, was that one wiped out by the Scourge as well?
Updates.
There's a lot of shit here that was destroyed by the Scourge.
Will happen to at least some extent in Midnight. Let's look at everything we currently know. If you wanted anything Warcraft related, Gamido has the best deals on the market that you can get with my link below. You can get almost every other game's software, and they also just added mobile top-ups for all your
Scourge
favorite
is
mobile
good. We need
games
it back.
with the craziest prices. You can also use my code DORAN to get yet another discount, so click my link and get the best deals at Gamido.
There it
We've
is.
discovered something really interesting in the Midnight beta, and it is a little bit unexpected. So, as you may know, Midnight has revamped Qual'Thalas, but it has done much more than just simply updated the assets from what we had seen so far.
Oh yeah,
the
it's a
entire
complete
area
rebuild.
is literally built from scratch with the old parts just used as references. Even
Can I just say, like, Blizzard did a great job with this zone. I love this I always love this zone, the violin music, everything about it, the regalness, the fall leaves. You know, it's just a pretty zone. And I always thought it was extremely underutilized by Blizzard. Like, it was great. And, you know, it was used for people who made Blood Elves back at Burning Crusade, and that was about it. You never saw it, never a reason to go there, and now there finally is again. I think if Blizzard, you know, could have picked any better zone, they couldn't have picked any better zone to make this expansion around and to rebuild. I'm excited to see it. The only other one I would have told them to pick is Lordaeron. That's it. That's the only other zone in the game that I would love to see be remade from the ground up, because I think that city is worth saving, personally. It's ancient, its lore is crazy, and it would be great to walk the halls that Arthas Menethil walked.
more importantly, they had actually compacted some of the zones so it isn't as split as it was prior to Midnight, and not only are we now able to fly from the rest of the continent into Qual'Thalas and Zulaman, but they also joined up certain zones. Like, they obviously removed the Ghostlands and they just have Eversong Woods as one single zone. Now, we have learned something throughout the beta and the various interviews that Blizzard actually has plans to update other surrounding areas of the Northern Eastern Kingdom and even the Forsaken Zones. Unfortunately, the first part...
Another thing, maybe if they continue to update the upper part of the Eastern Kingdoms, there's so much good shit up there, man. But hey, Scarlet Monastery is up there. Right? Maybe we get Scarlet Monastery Mythic Plus. I've been saying it. Maybe. I mean, freaking the classic Andy's got a Scarlet Monastery raid. Why can't we get Scarlet Monastery Mythic Plus? How badass would it be? Blades of Light, running that shit Mythic Plus in. Oh, man, I'd love it. I'd love it. Up-res some of that armor drops. Get us all Scarlet gear. Be amazing.
We discovered wasn't really as big of a revamp as we had expected. A part of the main storyline of 12.0 takes place in the Plaguelands in the Lightscope Chapel, and Stratholme was right on the border, but literally, all they did was just made the cloud above it bigger, which isn't as satisfying as following up on the storyline of this destroyed city. However, you might remember that the Eastern Kingdoms were always a bit weird. I mean, it was a strange area. It was a strange continent prior to Midnight.
I think this is cool, by the way. He's showing clips of Eretor. I think this is really cool. The Eretor questline is not just some like, oh, we go kill some mobs, we come back, questline's done. The Eretor questline is being advertised by Blizzard as like a zone in and of itself, like a leveling zone. So we're going to go through the story, level up, and then the Eretor stuff is zone expansive questing. You're going to go through all these old zones with Eretor and level up. It's part of the leveling quest line and is considered like a fourth zone that we're going to level in. So we're going around from different parts of Azeroth, which I think is awesome as well. We're going to be going to different old zones in Azeroth. It's great. I feel like Blizzard's finally like, it's hit them like, bro, we got all this unused assets. Like all these assets that are just sitting there in this 20-plus-year-old game that we haven't used in forever. Let's use it. These guys probably don't even remember but this shit anymore. It's gonna be like new to them. So I think this is a great idea, and I think the Eretor stuff's going to be cool to play through.
Yeah, it was a strange continent prior to midnight. I mean, since Qual'Thalas was added in TBC, it was really the only area on Azeroth where you just couldn't reach it normally, even though it is a huge part of the continent, and you had to go to an instance portal, and there was even this little area above the Western Plaguelands that wasn't even a part of Lordaeron, nor was it a part of Qual'Thalas, nor did it even have a name. It was just a random patch of land that had nothing going for it,
right.
And it was never really explained what this exactly was, and there was a whole lot of speculations currently going on. Well, with Midnight bringing revamped Qual'Thalas, they had also brought an actual change to
Looks
the
awesome.
shape of the continent itself. I mean, you can actually see the new map in Midnight, and the actual shape is different. I mean, it's not drastically different, but they...
See how they wrote 12.1 right here? That's the rumor that this Zulaman Isle, this snake isle is sitting off the coast of Zulaman with a broken bridge that used to attach it to the rest of the Eastern Kingdoms, and we're gonna get like a big 12.1 Amani troll patch.
Seemingly patched
which
up
I'm down
some
for.
areas,
Sounds cool.
removed some, added some. They also added a pretty large troll island
He's talking
off the
about it
coast
here.
of Zulaman, which will almost certainly be patch content.
Not
based on
pre-watched.
everything you
Hashtag
can
not
see,
pre-watched.
And I got a full video
I already
that you
knew
can
this stuff.
check on that. They also made a transition from the Plaguelands into Qual'Thalas. Actually, seamless, it makes more sense. However, the reason I'm making this video is that they made a bit of an unexpected change. So the area north of the Western Plaguelands is no longer a part of the Plaguelands, despite the fact that it looks like the Plaguelands, and it has been joined up with the Eversong Woods, being now a subzone called the Talassian Range. What we can see in the Midnight Beta right now is that it is mostly built from vanilla or Cataclysm era assets, and so far it seems mainly empty, but suspiciously empty enough that it could be used for something else. What we can see is that it's
So giant piece of land that's revamped but unused. Interesting. Yeah, surely there's plans for that.
spreads from about the Western Plaguelands, ending all the way at the updated cloud I previously mentioned that they had added above Stratholme. So far, this doesn't really seem like all that much, just a random new wooded area, but there are a few things that makes this oddly suspicious. As I said, previously we had this little patch of land that didn't belong to anything, and it was kind of that way for nearly 20 years. Now this area and a bit more has been joined up with the Midnight main area, the Eversong Woods, and it isn't just a random patch of land Blizzard added, as this is literally a new subzone of the new expansion, naming it Talassian Range, Eversong Woods. Like when you fly to the place, you will see Talassian Range, Eversong Woods. Now, Talassian Range is an area that has actually existed before Midnight, it just wasn't on the map, and it was just this like mountain range and ghostlands, but now this has been expanded and turned into something.
Man, look at Stratholme. It's really cut. You cannot fly in. Stratholme is getting like a story advancement of some sort with the Eretor questline. I don't know if we're going back there and we're going to see like, oh, Stratholme's healthy now. You know, it's been purged. Post-purge, it's been rebuilt. Just like Arthas thought it would be because he was right to purge the city. Just say, not saying, whatever. But it's getting an advancement in its story. We'll see if it's actually going to get rebuilt. I think seeing a rebuilt Stratholme where people return to the city and everything would be cool.
A bit more meaningful. This update raises a few interesting scenarios that we could potentially see soon. Keep in mind, this is the beta, so parts of it could still be placeholders, but seeing that this area is actually a part of Stratholme, it could indicate that maybe the cloud is a placeholder as well, and maybe they plan on
I think it is a
clearing
placeholder.
that up too. It's strange that the city is in the same place it was all the way back when the Scourge was at its peak. As I said, Blizzard has actually stated that more old areas will be updated as Midnight progresses further. They promise something along the lines of like, don't expect like Qual'Thalas type full-scale revamps, but certain old school areas will be updated at least to a certain extent. Plaguelands are right on the border, they really have been mostly cleansed by this point, so this area should look completely different in today's day and age. What I do find interesting is that they added this little patch, as I just mentioned, the Talassian Range with the Plaguelands assets, but they joined it up with the Eversong Woods. I mean,
That looks really cool. It's like being overrun by bamboo and shit.
If it was just a random patch of land, like completely with no purpose, they might have just bunched it up with the Plaguelands so that the borders make sense, but they wouldn't include it in the new revamped area of the Eversong Woods, which is pretty much the main focus of this expansion. It is really hard to say though, like this could be a complete tinfoil hat theory. It could literally end up being.
You're not gonna, you don't know how they're gonna resolve who Anderhall belongs to either. Yeah, that's right. How are they gonna advance that story? And if they want to rebuild it, they need to know who it belongs to. Now, there's a lot of interesting lore that's kind of been left hanging basically since the Scourge came and went. So a lot of cool stuff that they could do with those zones.
Nothing, but it is really hard to say what this could be used for. I mean, the main reason being is that so far it just seems like a placeholder area, as in they
It'll
might
belong to
add
whoever holds
something,
it, true.
but right now it is just a patch of woods and mountains with nothing really going for it. Before Midnight was announced, there was a really interesting speculation of Lordaeron, an actual dwarven kingdom that actually exists in the lore. It existed in the Warcraft RTS. It was a dwarven patch of land between Lordaeron and Qual'Thalas, pretty much around where this area currently is, but this was never actually added to.
Yeah, we thought that this might happen or something might happen with this during the War Within, and it never did.
The game. It even had quite a bit of lore of its own. What made the speculation happen for Midnight isn't just random speculations. There was actually some building materials that we had discovered, like leaked building materials that are seemingly from Lordaeron.
Man, I remember this speculation.
That Blizzard didn't forget this area. However, I don't think it is likely that they will suddenly just spawn a huge dwarven kingdom here that we had never seen before. Like,
yeah, I think they're gonna take a break from the dwarven stuff. I think we got enough, you know, big thick dwarves running around doing their thing this expansion. We're moving on to elves. We're going from the short thick chodes to the long boys. That's right, the tall long elves. That's what we're going with now. That's it. You know, different flavors. You know, people prefer different things. I think they're going to leave the dwarves in the War Within expansion.
In the middle of the expansion, like, these trees are suddenly going to become like dwarven fortresses. What I do think is interesting is that there could potentially be a Titan facility under this area, which wouldn't be unexpected at all. Keep in mind, most dwarves actually live in areas that used to be Titan facilities, and, you know, plenty of them are underground. Maybe there is something under these woods that we could discover soon. Like one Titan facility that was previously foreshadowed in the game, but you had never seen it before. And remember, there's quite a lot of things going beneath the ground. Like, yeah, you may remember the Tirisful Glades and everything with your god generals. The other interesting possibility is that this could somehow tie in with the patch, like with the Scourge or Forsaken or Lordaeron, or the development with the Army of the Light that could happen later in this expansion. I don't necessarily think that something will spawn here.
Look at it. Look at it in all of its glory. Lordaeron, man. Love it.
Like suddenly like a whole new city is going to be added in the beta, or something like a whole new kingdom. But this is a bit of no man's land between the Plaguelands, aka Lordaeron, and Qual'Thalas, and maybe this could be the bridge between the two in Midnight that could lead to some new Lordaeron lore, maybe a follow-up with the Scourge or the Promised Forsaken storyline that they had mentioned will actually be happening in Midnight. What is also suspicious is they seem to be using really old assets for this area, despite the fact that they updated the entire Qual'Thalas area with new assets, which could indicate that
probably placeholder assets. That's all this is. They were like, just fill up the zone with some greenery, just throw a bunch of assets around.
Beta, this is like a temporary placeholder spot that could get updated, or something could be added later to this. So far, just a small hint, but I think I
wonder if we'll ever get a rebuilt Dalaran too, like on the ground Dalaran. I've talked about this before. Like, the actual floating piece that we have of Dalaran is just this center ring, but all this other shit that's built out, that was destroyed back a long time ago. We never saw like a full-fledged, like what Dalaran in its true glory looked like. I wonder if they ever land that piece of rock and rebuild it out. That'd be cool.
Just a small hint, but I think we should keep an eye on this thing, as maybe something could actually happen here.
It was destroyed a few times.
Yeah, check out how we discovered a brand new planet and actual friendly demons that we might see soon by clicking on the screen. And check out my video on Titans and Greek mythology that I've recorded live on Titan Italy by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, look, I'm a Lordaeron Andy, Wrath of the Lich King Andy, Arthas Andy, whatever you want to call me. I think that's some of the best lore in the game, and I would love to see that entire area rebuilt out. And like, even for the sake of the advancement of the Forsaken, it just makes sense. We got Kalia Menethil and her big mommy milkers now leading, or partially leading, the undead. Like, it all makes sense that they could rebuild the city. And, you know, the whole alliance play, okay, it used to be an alliance city, now it's a horde city. I mean, Blizzard doesn't care anymore. They make these cities cross-faction, so it's prime. It's ready. It's just, will Blizzard pull the trigger and actually do it? Bibbidi, thank you for the follow, man.
to destroy.
Overall, really cool lore. Love to see it happen. We'll see if it does. Nice video from Doran.